happen. And if you think your life sucks now, it just got worse. Look, a new gangster strain, ironic.
Hello everybody, we're going to hit you up with another presidential election. This one, the election of 1892. Three-way race here, guys, as Benjamin Harrison goes for the second term. Can he get it done? Let's find that out right now. Now, as always, we're going to start off with the incumbent party, and that is the Republicans. The incumbent president, Benjamin Harrison of Indiana, elected in 1888, but his administration was widely viewed as unsuccessful. And as a result, Thomas C. Platt of New York and other disaffected party leaders mounted a Dump Harrison movement, coalescing around veteran candidate James G. Blaine of Maine. Remember, Blaine was nominated as president in 1884 by the Republicans, and he is now in Harrison's cabinet as the Secretary of State, but Blaine declines. He declines because of the death of his children, and he's also going through some health problems himself. Now, Harrison privately doesn't want the second term, but he believes that he is the only candidate capable of preventing Blaine from getting nominated, because he was convinced that Blaine was going to run. So Harrison goes for the nomination anyway, although privately he doesn't want it. But come the Republican National Convention, he does have some opposition from not only Blaine himself, but also the governor of Ohio, William McKinley. But at the end of the day, Harrison is going to be nominated for the second term. Now, he is going to bring along for the ride a new running mate, and that is Whitelaw Reid of New York, the editor of the New York Tribune. Levi P. Morton, the vice president, did not want to serve a second term, and Harrison didn't want to keep him on the ticket anyway. So now that we have our Republican ticket of Harrison and Reid, let's get to the Democrats. Now, by the time 1892 rolls around, many Americans are ready to return to the political policies of Grover Cleveland, and he becomes the clear frontrunner for the Democratic nomination. But he does have some opposition in front of him, and that is New York Senator David B. Hill and the governor of Iowa, Horace Boyes. But at the end of the day, it is going to be Cleveland who receives the nomination. Now, the Democrats also have their list of candidates for vice president. That is Adlai E. Stevenson of Illinois, Isaac P. Gray of Indiana, Michigan the Chief Justice of Michigan, Alan B. Morse, and Wisconsin Congressman John L. Mitchell. But at the end of the day, it is going to be Adlai Stevenson who is nominated as Cleveland's running mate. Now that we have our Democratic ticket of Cleveland and Stevenson, let's go on to a new party, the Populists. Now, the Populist Party, or the People's Party, was formed in 1891 from a variety of farmers' alliances with some delegates from labor and reform groups. And they meet for their first national convention in St. Louis, Missouri. And they put up their own slate of candidates: James B. Weaver of Iowa, South Dakota Senator James H. Kyle, North Carolina's Leonidas L. Polk, and appellate judge Walter Q. Gresham of Indiana. But it's going to be Weaver who receives the nomination from the Populists. Weaver is going to bring along for the ride James G. Field of Virginia as his running mate. And the Populist platform called for the nationalization of the telegraph, telephone, and railroads, They called for the free coinage of silver. This is also what the Republicans called for. It's bimetallism, the free coinage of both gold and silver. The Democrats are for the gold standard, only coinage of gold, a graduated income tax, and the creation of postal savings banks. And although the populist platform doesn't gain much traction now, some of their hopes, some of their views will gain traction later on down the road. When income tax comes into the picture with the 16th Amendment, the populists call for the direct election of senators. That comes in being with the 17th Amendment. So the populists are eventually going to get their way with some of their platform ideas, but it won't come until much later. Now that we have our three-way race, the Republican ticket of Harrison and Reid, remember Harrison going for the second term, the Democratic ticket of Cleveland and Stevenson, Cleveland trying to come back to the White House, and the populist ticket of Weaver and Field. Let's get to the campaign. Now, this campaign was rather lackluster, but the tariff issue dominated this campaign nonetheless. Harrison defended the protectionist McKinley tariff passed during his term. Now, for his part, Cleveland assured voters that he opposed absolute free trade. It would continue his campaign for a reduction in the tariff. Cleveland also announced the Lodge Bill, which was a voting rights bill that sought to protect the rights of African American voters in the South. Remember, the South at this point had become that solid South, solidly in control of Democrats, and the Democrats were this party of white supremacy. They wanted to do everything they could to disenfranchise the black vote through literacy tests and poll taxes and grandfather clauses, while the Republicans wanted to protect the voting rights of African Americans. Now, William McKinley would campaign extensively for Harrison, setting the stage for his own run 4 years later. We'll talk about that election next time. Now, through all the campaigning, the campaign did take a somber turn when in October, the First Lady Caroline Harrison, Benjamin Harrison's wife, passes away. Now, despite the ill health that had plagued her since her youth and had worsened in the last decade, she often accompanied the president on official travels. On one such trip, she caught a cold. It quickly deepened into her chest, and she was eventually diagnosed with tuberculosis. After a summer in the Adirondack Mountains failed to restore her to health, and then she became invalid for the last 6 months of her life. And just 2 weeks before the election, 25th of October, 1892, she dies. So as a result of this, really out of respect, I suppose, all of the candidates cease their campaigning. Now, we're not going to end an election video on a depressing note, so let's get to these results because history is going to be made. And history does indeed get made because Grover Cleveland becomes the only president in American history to win 2 non-consecutive terms. He is going back to the White House. Francis Folsom's prediction from 1889 was correct, and Cleveland wins this election. He wins 277 electoral votes. He carries 23 states. Harrison's going to win 145 electoral votes. He carries 16 states, and the populists and James B. Weaver, they're going to pull well out west. They're going to win 22 electoral votes. They're going to carry Kansas. They're going to carry North Dakota. They're going to carry Colorado. They're going to carry Idaho. And they're going to carry Nevada. In terms of the popular vote, Cleveland goes away with 46% of the popular vote. Harrison, 43%, and 8.5% for James B. Weaver. And Cleveland's one of only 2 people to win the popular vote in 3 presidential elections, the other being Andrew Jackson. In the 19th century, FDR would achieve this distinction in the 20th century. And Cleveland also became the first Democrat to be nominated by his party 3 times. William Jennings Bryan, which we'll see next time, and FDR, which we'll see down the road for the other 2. And with that, Cleveland's back in the White House. The bourbon Democrats, so to speak, are back in the White House. And Cleveland is going to serve his term, but there's a big change coming for the Democratic Party in the election of 1896, which we'll talk about next time. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you really get a lot out of it. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos, go ahead and watch those if you want. And with that, we will see you next time.